Hi, and welcome to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast with everyone's favorite OBGYN, Dr. Angela Jones. Have you ever been too embarrassed or shy to ask your own doctor about your, girl parts? Well, you've come to the right place to get straight answers. Feel free to ask Dr. Angela anything women's health related. Obstetrics and gynecology? She keeps it real. Pregnancy? She's been there, done that. Menopause? She'll get you through. Young or old, Dr. Angela's got you covered, girl. Now here's Dr. Angela.
What's good, people? This is Dr. Angela, everyone's favorite OBGYN, and I would like to officially welcome you to episode 316 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. 316, episode 316. So I think I'm getting ready to buy a bike. I had a bike, and I'm not really quite sure what happened to it. I don't know if I gave it away or what happened. I'm not sure how you lose a bike, but I don't have a bike anymore, and I used to have one. It used to be fantastic, but now I'm in the market for a new bike, and I'm like so close. I'm like this close to pulling the trigger. I did a little bit of research, and I think I'm going to buy a bike from a local bike shop here in my community. I like to support small businesses, specifically with everything that is going on. And I also really am buying a bike because I want to be able to ride my bike with my daughter, who loves to bike ride. It just seems like it was yesterday that I taught her how to ride her bike, and I was just over the moon and so grateful that I was the one that was able to share that moment with her. Specifically since I work a lot, and even though I do work a lot, I am present a lot still, but I do work a lot. And so it was just a really special moment to know that I was able to teach her how to successfully ride a bike. And I'm really looking forward to, purchasing my bike and going riding with her. Now, the issue is, it's like, which bike do I get? Probably going to go with a mountain bike, something that I can do on and off road with. And then the guy was like, but how much mountain biking are you going to do? Because this is the basic model versus, and I'm like, probably just the basic model, right? I mean, I'm not going to be, doing a bunch of off-road in Colorado. And if so, just rent one, right? Anyway, today's topic is a good one. Actually, a question from an online publication. And again, I like when the online publications send me the question, because then I can elaborate on it. And, it's just that most of the time when they ask me these things, they only publish a part of what I say. But when I do the question on the podcast, I can give you, the complete answer. So this query is from, I want to say this is another one from Healthline. They send me a lot of stuff. And their question was, can STIs be transmitted through sex toys? How and which STIs? And that's a really good question. And it brings up the importance of safe sex. And because I just mentioned safe sex, you already know what the answer to this question is. Absolutely, STIs can be transmitted through sex toys. And this is the deal. Sexually transmitted infections can be transmitted via infected bodily fluids, whether those fluids be from the penis, from the vagina, or from blood. Sexually transmitted infections can be transmitted via infected skin surfaces, mucosal surfaces. Having said such, sex toys are oftentimes in contact with mucosal surfaces, i.e. inside the vagina, on top of the penis. Sex toys come into contact with vaginal and penile secretions. Get it? So, sex toys can serve as a nidus, if you will, of transmission if they are in contact with any of the aforementioned things that I mentioned, i.e. infected medium, whether it be, again, penile or vaginal secretions, blood, mucosal surfaces, skin surfaces, vaginal penile secretions, etc. So that's a great question. So the next piece of that, what STIs can you get from toys? STIs that can be transmitted via sex toys include the usual suspects, herpes, HPV, gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis, HIV. You can even transmit vaginitis like bacterial vaginosis through sex toys. So when you're using sex toys, I would really recommend, specifically if you are not in a mutually monogamous relationship, and you don't completely know the history of the person that you're sleeping with, specifically if they are not monogamous. There is that such thing as you might be monogamous, but the person you're sleeping with is not monogamous. So I would recommend actually, if you are not 100% sure that you use a condom with your sex toys. So that was a really good question, good topic. Y'all have been sending me all kinds of questions via email, direct messaging. I'm actually featuring a lot of those questions on the podcast just because it's easier sometimes just to verbally address them as opposed to, typing out a big long email. Although I still am typing out a lot of big long emails, so don't get discouraged. I will get to your query one way or the other. So thanks for tuning in to today's question. For those of you that are chiming in or just listening for the first time, I'm Dr. Angela, everyone's favorite OBGYN. You can hit me up or find me at my webpage, www.askdrangela.com. That's AskDrangela.com. There you can sign up for my blog, which comes out weekly, my podcast. I think we're up to posting like 2 podcasts per week. Probably it will get up to 3 soon, but right now we're doing 2 podcasts per week. You can also follow me on any of my social media channels. That's going to be Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. So thank you, and thank you. In closing, I switched it up for you today. I'm giving you some instruction from Life's Little Instruction Book, and this is another book that I've had for eons. This book is so old that I picked it up and the pages fell out. So I just spent a considerable amount of time putting the pages back in. I'm going to probably have to have this book rebound because it is really old and literally falling apart at the seams, so to speak. So today from Life's Little Instruction Book, number 171 says, never give up on what you really want to do. The person with big dreams is more powerful than the one with all the facts. Remember that. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's podcast. I cannot wait to reconnect on episode 317 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. Until next time, choose happiness. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. For more information on women's health and the show notes for this episode, please visit Dr. Angela at www.askdrangela.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave your own message for Dr. Angela. See you soon! All of the information provided and discussed in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not take the place of consulting a physician. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease or illness and does not and should not replace treatment from a medical professional.